Our next topic for our algebra class is going to be the square root function. We're going to explore many things about the square root function. We will start off with how we transform it, and hopefully once you watch the video you will realize that in actuality we've really done the transformation of the square root function, and this should be a quick review for you. Alright, if we are talking about our square root, as a parent function, we have f of x equals square root of x. Come over here to our formula. I hope this looks familiar to you. Here is our square root. Here is our a on the outside. Under the radical, we have 1 over b times x minus h. And then outside of the, or out from under the radical, we have plus k. All right, from transforming your quadratics, we remember that our h stands for our horizontal shift. Remember that means we either shift to the right or we shift to the left. And remember, it is opposite of what we see in here. And what's happening here is we are affecting the x. And the x, remember, on our coordinate plane moves us left to right. And plus our k, remember that your k, you're adding to the entire function. And remember, your function really is your y value. And so what we're doing here is we're shifting your function up and down. So plus if it's going up, and negative we go down. So hopefully you remember your h and your k. Remember, if your a is less than 0, if it's negative, then that is our reflection. If a is less than 0, we reflect across the x-axis. And if b is less than 0, we reflect across the y-axis. So let's come down and take a look at our function here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to identify the constants and describe the transformation from the parent function. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for our a. So we look outside of the radical, and we don't see it, so we know that it is just a 1. Because if it was 0, we wouldn't have anything. Then let's look, what is our b? So we look inside. Again, we don't see it, so it's the coefficient of the x, which again is just 1. And we look for our h. So we still stay underneath the radical. There is no h. Remember, we subtract that h, so this would just be 0. It is just not there. And then our k, we do have a k, and that is right here. It is a minus 3. So if we look at the a, the b, and the h, well, if we look at the h, we did not shift left or right. We did not reflect. Our a is not less than 0. Our b is not less than 0. All we have is the k of negative 3, so that means that we shifted down. So we went down 3 units. Alright. I want you to pause the video and fill out the information on your second one here. And when you're done with it, please restart the video and we'll take a look and see how you did. Alright. So let's start with our a. We actually do see, if we're looking on the outside, we do see that it is now a negative 1, right? So negative 1 is less than 0, so now we do have a reflection. Inside the coefficient of the x under the radical, we see it is not there, so we know that it is our 1. Our h, again, we look under the radical, we see that that is also a negative 1. And then we look for our k, which is outside of the radical, and that is a 2. So what we see is we have a reflection. It was a was less than 1, so we did reflect over the x-axis. Our b was unchanged. Our horizontal was a negative 1, so remember, we think backwards. So it being a negative 1, we had a horizontal shift to the right. So we went 1 shift to the right. And our k was a positive 2, which means we went up 2. Alright, I'm going to let you finish 3 and 4 on the front of this worksheet for your homework, and then I want you to turn it over to the back, and I want you to fill out those charts and graph the square root function and its transformation. This needs to be finished, and I will check this when you come to class. And make sure that you fill out your whisk that is also attached to this post in your Edmodo. And I will see you at school.